Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This is Fisher Vlog number 115, and while I was away on holidays, one of the two diaphragms on this pump decided to crack, which is not a complete disaster, but it definitely meant an awful lot less air in the fish room, and I did have some losses. So what I need to do is get this one out of storage. This is my spare pump, clean it up because it hasn't been used in quite a few years, and as you know, I use my fish room as also a shop for woodworking and other things, and there's a fair amount of dust in this. So I'm going to get that cleaned and get it in service. It is not as strong as the other pump, but I'm going to get a kit in and I'm going to repair that pump. Most likely I'll do a video about it and have that up hopefully in a little bit. So, like I said, while I was away, a lot less air was being pumped. Not enough to cause, a complete die-off of everything, but like I said, it was a fairly lengthy time and a lot less air. Now, this tank was filled with baby fish. Now, that is not, this wasn't a die-off. This is a fish. I caught these fish out of here because, first off, I need to put them in other tanks for clients, and secondly, I want to raise up, well, some shrimp and, of course, rice fish. And I noticed, as you can see there, one of the females, one on the right, is carrying a little batch of eggs, and I also noticed one of the female red crystal shrimp also had some eggs. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them together, but for the moment, this is just it. This is just the rice fish and the red crystals together, and hopefully I will get something out of all that. Fortunately, killifish don't care whatsoever if there's air at all. So they're perfectly fine and happy. But one of the funny thing is you saw that tiny little crack, the difference between the lid and the glass. Well, it's wide enough for two females to jump out of that tank and somehow manage to flop down into this one. It is most bizarre because I didn't lose any of them. It's just they managed to get out of that tank and into here. It's just one of those weird acrobatic things they can do, I guess. This is where they're going to go. Not all of the killifish are going in here, but this is doing very, very well now. I just need to remove the one tool build for the box filter out of here. They don't need a lot of turnover, and the waterfall in the back is more than enough filtration for killifish. So I'm going to get this, as you can see here, cleaned out. I mean, I've done an awful lot of water changes in the last few days anyway, but I want to get this one ready, and this is where they're going to go. All that's in here right now, as you can see, are some shrimp. And that's it. There's nothing else in here. So this is going to come out, and I'm not sure which tank it's going to go in. I keep using it, but I don't need all that bubbling, so that's just something that's going to come out. And then, of course, I need to move that wire. I had pulled the pump out, so I had to haven't reorganized that. If you look in the back, the ultra deep underground filter is not even running at the moment. Fortunately, the sponge filter is. These guys were a little worse for wear, but I didn't lose any fish except, believe it or not, some guppies. That's because I had quite drastically reduced the amount of fish I have in the fish room because, well, I was going away on holidays and also my clients needed fish. As you can see, I needed to lower the water in this tank here so that it would continue to run. It wasn't bubbling at all. The platies had a little bit of wear because of that, but they were quite hardy and they're still doing quite well. So this obviously was not affected at all because it doesn't run on air. I moved the peace lily over into here because I want to clean those other two tanks after the lack of air. It's actually kind of odd which tanks were more strongly affected by this than others. I mean, this tank here, as you can see, is getting very little air, but the Danios are doing very well. As you can see, they're getting a lot more color now. They're growing quite quickly, and well, they're definitely going to get their own aquarium shortly because I do need to breed more of these. I certainly have a lot more space now anyway. One of the other odd things, of course, because of the imbalance, because of the weird air and everything, I did get a couple of algal blooms. Not a problem at all. I mean, these guys don't care. They will filter out some of it through their gill rakes and give them a little bit of extra nutrition. And again, you can see though a lot less air coming in here, so I definitely need to get that diaphragm set or kit in soon and get that going. And as I mentioned earlier, the killies don't care. they're perfectly happy and fine if there is no air running at all, which is one of the blessings about them, I guess. And as you can see, I'm getting quite a few more killies, which is nice. Very happy about that, and they're going to hopefully get along quite well in their new home, which is going to be the paludarium. So that's coming up. That's going to be something I'm going to be doing shortly, because I do want to get a lot of the tanks cleaned out. This tank, because it's so shallow, a lot less air pressure required to make it run. And as you can see, the angels survived quite well. I didn't have, well, I don't think there was any hiccups with them at all. Of course, they went, a fair number of days without food, but they got some good body fat on them, so it's not a big deal. A couple of days of feeding, and they'll be fine again. So not a problem there at all. I am going to get, though, to one of the aquariums that had the most issues, which, again, was quite surprising. This tank was fine. I had moved almost all of the adult guppies out of here. There's still a bunch of babies in there, but they're fine. Of course, Corys, they can just go up to the surface and breathe. And the zebra danios, again, even though they're river fish, and you'd think they would need more air, they survived quite well. And as you can see, you're quite active. And same here with the platies, which is great, because I'm glad that they survived. Losing too many fish like that is, you know what it's like. It happens. So this is the tank that got hit the hardest. If you remember, this is the colony of guppies that I loved the most. It was the one that was doing really, really well. And it had, well, as you can see, quite a drastic die-off. Not sure what's caused it, but this particular one was hit very, very hard. And as you can see, these killies here, which are starting to grow up nicely, are nowhere near the size of the lone one that's in here. This is something that I've always thought anyway. Better space, more food, better filtration, all that sort of stuff. As you can see, the air is not even running at this point in this tank. So these guys don't care. And I think this fellow here grew also quite nicely because he had a few baby guppies to snack on. So anyway, I'm going to get those all sorted out, hopefully, for the next video. An awful lot of work needs to be done to get my fish room back up into what I was before I left. The fly trap will hopefully start eating. I will sometime this week catch some flies for it, and we'll see how they do with that. This tank here was fine. I didn't have any issues with it at all. But one thing that is kind of surprising, you can see it right at the very end here, is the spider plant didn't receive any, well, the air was not running, so it wasn't bubbling, and therefore it didn't end up getting watered, and it had a big die-off. This plant's fine, of course, because it doesn't require anything other than me watering, and I watered it before I left. But there you go. That one is now a tiny fraction of what it was. Unfortunate, but I suspect it'll bounce back. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.